drivers being priced off the road. Is ULEZ a bad thing?
Well, no, I am the ultimate suburban person. You know, born and brought up in West London, out in the suburbs. I don't think this is an issue being priced out. I think what there is at the moment is a very clumsy mechanism that is being used by the mayor. Now, look, public transport in London is about as good as you can get. You know, you can get around everywhere, and it's pretty reasonably priced. However, there are certain groups of people, like my boy, who's an electrician, who works out the back of his van, who, quite frankly, can't afford to actually pay what is, in effect, a surcharge. So, I think I said to you before, it's one thing worrying about 2030, but most of my people are worried about 8:30. And I think we need to actually have some amelioration here and now. Look, we all know that 15, 20 years ago we were pumping lead into the air. We were killing our kids. We were actually rotting people's brains. Nobody would suggest going back to lead fuel nowadays. So we are moving forward. But what I want is a little bit more subtlety, a little more sensitivity from the mayor to actually think that people on the school run, people who are tradespeople, people who've got to do deliveries, they have got to be considered because, frankly, the small tradesperson is the lifeblood of London. And you would be pretty fed up if you couldn't have someone to pop round to fix your boiler, or in my son's case, rewire your extension.
Yeah, and the ULEZ charge is £12.50, I believe, in London, and I think it's an additional, if you then travel through ULEZ and into the congestion zone, it's another, what is it now, £17 or something? I don't know, but other cities are doing it as well. Where do we strike the balance then between, as you say, having cleaner air, but also making sure ordinary people aren't suffering for just having to get on with their daily lives?
What we do is we use fiscal mechanisms. The one way to really change public behaviour is through fiscal mechanisms. Smoking is the obvious example. Cigarette smoking doesn't happen so much nowadays, not just because of the smoking ban, but because of the price of it. Because the so-called sin taxes, as dear Margaret Thatcher used to describe them on booze and fags, actually stop people drinking and smoking so much. So look, we need to do this the other way around. Have a virtue tax. If you have to use your vehicle, and you have to use it for your trade, or there's a specific reason, you should be actually exempt from paying this charge for an interim period. Now, we all know we've got to head forward to 2030, but in the short term, let's have a taper. Let's have it so that people have got 10, 15 years. You know, my son, I got mentioned on about him being an electrician, but, you know, if he said he had to change his van in 5, 10 years, he could probably live with that. What he cannot live with is actually having to go to his customers and say, I'm going to have to put a surcharge on top of the price, of the very reasonable price, I hasten to add, that he's already quoted, because of this tax on him. So it's unsubtle. It uses a sledgehammer to crack what is undoubtedly a problem. But frankly, I think, you know, I'd like to see Mayor Khan be a little bit more sensitive here.